Assalamualaikum, Salina.
Walaikum salam.
How are you today?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you so much for taking the time
No
from
problem.
your busy lifestyle to do this interview with me.
No problem at all.
So
Pleasure.
We got chatting and we realised that our parents are from Kenya or parts of East Africa.
Yeah.
And it was really good of you to say that you'll do an interview with me.
No problem.
So what can you tell me about yourself? Where was you born?
Okay, well, I was born in sunny old Rochdale, at Birch Hospital, many years ago, so 1979. My parents came here in 1972. As you're probably all aware, it was when the whole Idi Amin thing happened and they all got kicked out. So my sister was 2 and my brother was 8-9 months. So he was a baby. So yeah, they came here. Alhamdulillah, it wasn't as bad, I think, because my family were well connected in East Africa. My dad had, friends in the army, so they helped them move. If I can remember correctly, there was obviously it was a difficult time back then, and there was a lot of violence, a lot of shor sharaba. Everyone needs to leave, everyone needs to go. And so they gathered their things, whatever they could bring. They wasn't really allowed to bring much, and they gathered their things, and then they were helped to the airport when they came to the UK. I mean, I think I'm unfortunate in a sense that I missed all that. I really wish I was born there, and I really wish I was part of it all, because I feel like the left out one, because when they talk about it, I feel like I've not really got much of a connection, because my sister was born there, my brother was still born there, they still saw it all. They went through it all with my mum and dad. So I just feel like I didn't really get to see it or feel it, or I don't remember anything from there, but alhamdulillah, with all my family members, and obviously my parents, I hear a lot about it, but and I still feel connected, alhamdulillah, still feel connected.
Can you tell me your dad's name and what he did there, and any stories that you can remember that he spoke to you about?
Okay, so my daddy's name is Nurullah Khan, and mashallah, well known in the community, probably through all the work he's done here as well, mashallah. I mean, he's got a lot of followers, and he was back in Africa. I'd say he had a very luxurious life, mashallah, when he was one of the spoilt brothers.
Where in Africa did he live? Dad
was from Kampala. He was born in Jinja, and so he had 3 brothers. There was 4 brothers and 1 sister. His younger sister passed away quite young, and there was 4 brothers. Mashallah, all really good. I love my chatus. I didn't get to see one of them. He passed away in Africa. And my other chachu both my other chachus were in Canada. My other chachu passed away last year in Edmonton, Canada. They lived there for many years. I think when they moved from Africa, they moved to Canada. And my dad's other chachu, obviously they're both younger. My other chachu's still in Canada, and he's awesome, mashallah. So dad in Africa didn't really work much, because he was the spoilt one, he was the sporty one, he was the outgoing one. So my grandfather was very lenient with him. He'd go in your babli, go and do whatever you want to do, go and do your sports, go and do your studying, go and do your travelling. My dad was very well dressed, very smart, mashallah, very handsome, and still is handsome. And he was up until the age of, I think probably just before he got married, he was proper. He used to just chill, he enjoyed life, mashallah. He did what he needed to do, but he travelled to India, Pakistan. It was India back then. He travelled around Africa. Like I said, he played a lot of sports. He was very one of the boys where he had a massive group of friends, and they were all mixed culture. So there wasn't just Asian, there were Gujaratis, there were Sikhs, the Hindus, they were all friends, good friends, and they did a lot when they were younger. Dad has many stories, from when he was a kid, how people used to come and start some trouble, and Dad was the one to sort it all out. So yeah, mashallah, I think he had a very, very good childhood, mashallah. And then yeah, he grew up and fell in love with my mum, and it was all history from there.
What did your granddad do in Africa?
So,
and what part of Africa was this happening?
Okay, so my dad's side of the family were from Jinja, and he used to, well, my grandfather, only recently I heard about all these stories, that he was quite a community worker. He helped a lot of people, but nobody knew about it. You know, like he would keep everything undercover.
Wow.
And it was only after he passed away that people would come round to the house and say, oh, like, he did this for us, he did this for us, he gave us this, he did that. You know, like, so many people would come and say, and you know, I feel so proud, because I think, alhamdulillah, you know, that's how charity is. You know, you give with your right and you don't, and the left hand doesn't know. And that's exactly how he was, mashallah. Like, even his sons didn't know. To this day, they only find out, like, people will come about after so many years and say, oh, you know, he did this for us, he did this for us. So alhamdulillah, I feel so proud about that. And then like, he worked very hard, and he had to work hard because he had 4 boys to mashallah support, wife, kids, everything like that. And with the boys' lifestyle, you know, there's just the one man working to support everybody. And he still managed to do mashallah everything. There was so much barakat in what he used to do. He used to when he was younger, he was an engineer. So he would do all that before, like, obviously when he was younger. And then as he got older, he did a lot of community work, like I said. He was like he obviously he supported the whole family. And when he was working at the beginning of time, he used to work in a tobacco factory. He was an engineer there, and I think he started working there with the machinery side of things, obviously, because he was an engineer. He used to build the machines, and he was there for about 30-40 years. And then from there he worked in I think it was like a carbonated, you know, drinks factory. And back then there was no machinery. Obviously there was no machinery, so he'd have to like source the machinery and build the machinery. And mashallah, yeah, he was a very like skilled person, so he was very hands-on with everything that he used to do. And he worked there till obviously they left in 1972. But yeah, mashallah, I think that's where my dad, and I'd say myself, but that's why we're very hands-on in everything we do. Like, we build things, and I love, you know, like building wardrobes and tables and, you know, stuff like that. I'm very hands-on. You can ask my husband, like, even at home, if there's anything we just moved home, and I built 3 beds, and I built my daughter's cupboard by myself, and my drawers by myself, because it's not hard, you know what I mean, mashallah. And I think if you enjoy stuff like that, you do it, you know. And I think that, yeah, I get it from my dad and obviously my granddad.
That's amazing. Can you tell me anything about your grandma?
I think so. With my grandma, she never used to work. She stayed at home, looked after the boys. Back then, I think the women never used to really work, obviously. It was more looking after the boys and making sure they're all like fed, dressed, everything was clean, cooked. I'd say she had a fair share of stress with the boys, because I think with my my dad and my chachas, were very demanding in a sense. So yeah, I know she had a lot of patience, mashallah, and she did whatever, alhamdulillah, she needed to do, mashallah. So very beautiful woman, I hear, mashallah.
You mentioned about your dad getting married. Was that in Uganda?
Yeah. So when my mum and dad, they're cousins, and mum used to live in Bombo. She was born there, and the families used to like go and see each other, obviously, because they're only like next villages and stuff. So they used to go meet each other, go stay at their auntie's house, you know, and like help out and stuff. My mum lot, mashallah, they were like 11, 12 brothers and sisters, and so like dad was close with all of them, obviously, family in it. So they were, mashallah, they used to get on really well. And obviously as time went on, I think my mum caught my dad's eye, and yeah, mashallah, he said he used to go and sit there apparently, and just daughter my mum. So my mum was like, Agya Vapas, he's come to stress me out. So my mum and the sisters were like cooking and doing whatever, and dad would just sit around in the corner and just like eat and then go home, you know. And but yeah, mashallah, I think obviously the parents spoke about it, and alhamdulillah they got married. Yeah, mashallah.
And then they came to UK together in 1972.
Yeah. Obviously there was no plans to. They mashallah quite settled there. They were both working there. My mum was working there. My dad was working there. My mum's name is Mehrun Khan.
Mashallah.
Yeah, and they were working, settled, mashallah. Sabiah was born. Samir was born, happy life. You know, mum always talks about how, you know, when she got married, she settled really quickly. She was, you know, my mum's she was this amazing cook. So she would, you know, food was the big thing. Obviously, food's always been a big thing in our family, mashallah. So it was always like, she always tell me about recipes and how she used to cook and how they used to have like one of the workers there, he was called Okelo, and they used to treat him like family. He was there for many, many years, looked after my sister and my brother. And I remember mum, this one story always sticks in my head. So mum was pregnant with, I think, my sister, and she obviously morning sickness, and she couldn't like hold any food down. And Okelo used to make his own food in like the backyard, and like, you know, like on a wood fire kind of thing. The simplest of food, he just put one onion and a bit of green chilies, water, a bit of masala, and that was it. That was his soup, like, yeah. And then they used to make this thing called ugali, and it's like a mashed potato, and it's really tasty. So he made this soup, and then my mum smelt it, and she's like, everything else she didn't want to eat, and she said to him, "Can you please bring me some?" So he goes, "Yeah, of course," and like, he loved my mum, and he quickly brought it to her, and like, she had it, and she goes, "That I absolutely loved it." And she goes, "I used to just eat that." I goes, "Mum, because you were pregnant and you didn't want to eat anything else." She goes, "No, the most simplest of foods she loved." And I don't know, for some reason that story always sticks in my mind, because you think that, oh, you know, some people think, oh, they're like what do you call knockers, and you know, you don't associate with knockers, but he was more like family, you know, and he did everything, and they did everything for him, you know, mashallah, and they loved him, and he was very sad to see them go as well. And like, obviously, because that was like their family, his family, that was his, you know, his finance, his work and stuff. So, but I think they did him well, mashallah, when they left. And I don't think they kept in touch, because it was difficult back then. But yeah, he was a big part of their life. And my mum was like, she always goes on about him. She always used to call my mum Mama Safi, because she was very clean. You know, she's like, everything had to be like perfect, and he loved that because he was very clean. And but yeah. Mum was very simple though. She was, mashallah, the stories I hear about my mum, she was very much into her Indian films and Bollywood films, Hindi films and stuff. And she used to, because all the sisters, they were like, every Saturday, Sunday, they used to go to the cinema. There was a cinema there. I think it was an outdoor cinema. And they used to get dressed up like to the nines, and they used to get their hair done. My mum used to make her own sari, so she used to print her own sari. So whatever film used to come out, my mum used to get like these colours and print a sari, whoever it was, Vijanti Mala, whoever it was, and then get dressed up. And if I could, I'll try and get some photos. And used to go to the cinema, and then because my mum's brothers were like the dons back then, mashallah, they're all big, chunky lads, and then if anybody used to try and mess about with the sisters, they were like, get battered. They'd get dealt with. They were not allowed to look at them, because mashallah, like, if you think about it, 7, 8 sisters, wow, all dressed up, mashallah, going to the cinema, and you know, no one was allowed to even look at them, because the brothers, mashallah, my mamus, were like on it. But there was a lot of love and respect back then. It wasn't like it is now. It was just like, you know, okay, yeah, Nasar, my mamu, Nasar, these sisters are coming, you know, like, keep your eyes kind of like down, don't do anything silly, don't react or anything like that. And they used to have a lot of respect. People used to like move out the way for them, give them room to sit and stuff. So I think they had a really good time, mashallah, back then. Yeah.
You said your parents both worked in Uganda. Did any of them ever speak about what jobs they did there?
So my mum was used to work in a stationery shop, and they used to like sell all kinds of like envelopes, letters, anything that you needed from a stationery shop. So she was there, and because she could speak English really well, mashallah, everyone was like, they could connect with her, like converse with her and stuff like that. They used to have people from all over the world. There was a German man, apparently, this is another story that sticks in my head, that he used to come specifically to see my mum and he used to always buy stationery from her. And mum would say like, yeah, she always tells me stories about, you know, how it was in the shop and stuff. But she was very, mashallah, very like quick with her maths as well. So, and she was educated in Muslim girls' school. My dad always takes the mick. He used to go to Muslim girls' school back in Africa. So yeah, she's mashallah educated. My dad used to do screen printing. So he everything like from like calendars and posters and everything like that. Yeah, Dad was screen printing. They got a contract with the army, so they did their like badges and stuff like that for their uniforms and stuff. So alhamdulillah, it was nice that, you know, they worked and, you know, they did everything that they needed to do, but it was just unfortunate that it kind of like came to such an abrupt end. You know, like when you plan, you think that, okay, you're gonna have a family, you're gonna settle down, you're gonna buy your own big house, you're gonna do this, that, you're gonna work, you're gonna save. Obviously, we plan, Allah plans, and then alhamdulillah, you know, I think it was a blessing in itself that they moved here, however the situation was.
Did your dad ever talk about, or your parents ever speak about, the transition from Uganda to UK and their emotions?
Briefly, I think the thing was when it happened, it was very, very quick and very, like, I think they made an announcement. Idi Amin made an announcement, and then obviously everybody was talking about it and stressed out. So they literally had to gather whatever they had and they could take with them in their hands. So it wasn't like they could take any of the furniture. It wasn't like they could take anything that they've, you know, saved up for or done anything. You know, like, it was, like I said, it was very quick. From what I can remember, from what my parents talk about, it was literally, the announcement was made. All the families had to be like literally leave within a week. You wouldn't. In 90 days. Yeah, it was 90 days. They had to gather everything together, whatever they could, and then I think that the scary part was the actual, probably the time of the move was, for a lot of families, you'd get robbed at the checkpoints, or you were questioned, or they knew that obviously they're going to take all their money, all the gold, whatever they have, so they used that as an advantage for them, you know. But chalo, it was their situation. They must have thought, okay, we take advantage of the situation. They're going to go. They're not going to do anything about it. Whereas I remember my dad saying to me, they were very lucky, mashallah, because my dad had this contract with the army and he knew a lot of people. There was a general that helped them. They gave them like an escort to the airport, so they wasn't questioned, they wasn't stopped. They, alhamdulillah, they managed to bring whatever they needed to bring, even though it was bare little, but they still managed to bring whatever they needed to bring. And yeah, they came, and I think they landed in London, and they stayed at a few different places, but yeah, inevitably they ended up in Rochdale. I think one of the reasons why they ended up in Rochdale was my mum's sister was here, and I think she spoke to her and she said, look, if you can get here, come here, because they were at the Asheville and the, what are they called? Asheville Valley Flats. Yeah, Asheville Valley Flats. They were there. So my mum was like, yeah, okay, my sister's there, her children are there. There's a few other people here at the time. So I think they thought, Jalo, it's best we go there and inshallah start there. And yeah, it was all history from then. I was born, so then they moved, it was like 72, 73. And then they lived in the flats, the Asheville Valley Flats, and then when I was born they moved into a house. So my mum always says, you was the lucky one, when you came you bought your own kismet, and then we moved to a 3-bedroom house. And I was like, oh, alhamdulillah, that's good. But yeah, we've lived in that house. My mum and dad still live in that house, mashallah, 40 years on. And yeah, alhamdulillah, we've never ever had any issues. You know, like people have had issues with racism and issues with neighbours and issues with, you know, like people. Alhamdulillah, we haven't, you know. And I just think, I think that it was a blessing that they moved here. regardless of whatever happened and whatever's happening. But yeah, I think I'm relieved that they came here. I'm actually relieved that we didn't go Canada, because my other family members are in Canada. I'm sad that we're not near them and close to them, but I think Canada is a lot more fast-paced, a lot more, everyone's working, and it's very cold there. They have terrible winters. And and I think here, mashallah, we've made a lot of friends. We've got a lot of family friends here. Alhamdulillah, I met my husband here, and it's like, it's like you say, it's your destiny, Hannah. It's where it was meant to happen.
What can you tell us about your life, Salina?
Oh God.
What was it like growing up?
Where do I start? Obviously it's not as entertaining as my mum and dad's. They had the best, mashallah, childhood. Whereas I think with us, we had a good childhood. We probably had the same childhood as everybody else. School,
Which schools
home.
did you go to?
I went to Queensway Primary School. Started obviously nursery there, and then I went to Balderstone. We didn't have middle school back then. It just stopped, so there was no middle school. And then I went to Balderstone. Then we went to Rochdale College. So education-wise, alhamdulillah, it was fine. We did what everybody else did. We enjoyed education. We had a laugh. You learn from your mistakes, and you move on. You grow up. I got married, mashallah, when I was 26. So I think life started when I got married. It was all just chills before then.
So when you was growing up in the school, did you call yourself African or did you call yourself Pakistani?
Good question. So when I was in primary school, I didn't know the difference. We didn't know this caste system and culture and all this kind of stuff. All I knew was I'm Muslim, I'm not allowed to eat haram, and that was it. You talk to everybody, you be good with everybody, you don't fight, you don't bully, you don't do none of that. Yeah. So up to the age of 11, there was 4 Asian people in my school, and one of them was a family friend anyway. So I didn't know what Pakistani, Mirpuri, Kashmiri, Bengali, none of this was. So then when I got to Balderstone, year 7, I'd say it was 80-90% Asians. Met a lot of my friends that are my friends, mashallah, then. And then I think that's when we started realising the differences. Still, I didn't know the big differences. I just knew that, okay, Pakistani, India, Pakistan and Africa. I knew that much. I still didn't know the whole Rai, Rajput, Jat, all this kind of stuff. It never interested me. It still doesn't interest me, but I didn't know about it then. And then I think I was in year 11, and one of my friends, obviously I'm not going to name any names, but I realised their language was different. The way that they spoke was different. And then I asked my...
What was different about it?
She was Kashmiri, so
okay.
Her was Mirpuri, and I couldn't really understand it. And obviously the swear words were just ridiculous back then. That's all we really knew. But I think she was speaking to a mum in the car one day in the car park, and I was like, they sound completely different. Yeah. I've never heard that language before, and I was quite intrigued. I thought, oh, it sounds quite foreign. And then I spoke to my mum, and my mum was like, oh no, Shahid, she's Mirpuri. And I was like, what's Mirpuri? So then mum was like, because my mum always worked in factories when she came in. She had a lot of friends as well. And she goes, oh, they're from a different part of Pakistan. It's a different, completely... Even then, we didn't know the whole Azad Kashmir, the whole split, and they're how they don't get on and stuff. We didn't even know about that. But mum was explaining to me that, yeah, they have different dialect, they speak differently. That's probably what you heard. And I was like, okay. So I went back to school. I remember I asked her, and she goes, yeah, we're Mirpuri, and this is how we speak. And I was like, okay. And from then, I kind of got the grasp of Bengalis and Mirpuris and Punjabis, and when I hit college, that's when I saw the difference and I felt the difference, because you could, when a group of people wouldn't get on with a group of people, and then afterwards you'd realise that it's because they're from different parts of Pakistan. Okay. And they'd have beef amongst themselves, and it was mainly the guys. the girls, I think they weren't really bothered, but it was the guys. And then they would actually say, oh, he's like a Pindu, or he's like, he's a Tet from here or from wherever. And I was like, oh my God. Then I used to think, what am I then? Because I've got none of that. So what do they think of me? I've got a caste. We've not got like this Rai Rajput kind of thing. So I didn't even know. I asked my mum and dad. They're like, no, my mum used to make me laugh. She always says it. She goes, she goes, I'm Mughal, so my mum's Mughal. So she goes, we're like the royalty. Yeah. And your dad lot are Khan, and they're like our slaves. They were like our warriors kind of thing. And I was like, Mum, that doesn't make sense. And as a youngster, you'd think that, okay, yeah, my mum lot are royalty, my dad lot are like their warriors. So yeah, I must be some sort of superior, But you don't understand what it really is. And then obviously as you get older, I got a little bit more into Islam and stuff, and then you knew, that there is no caste system and there is no royalty and there is no, how they are. And then you get your own damak and your own, you'd realise that, okay, it's a cultural thing, And I remember when I met my husband, and we had a love marriage, alhamdulillah, and I think before we got married, I wanted to know everything about him, everything about his family, because it was scary for me, whereas my family would, mashallah, embrace anybody, so long as they're Muslim, yeah, they would embrace anybody, and but I was fearful for his family. I was like, because they might think we're different, and we always had this, I hope they don't think bad of me, because you hear stories like, oh, they think people from East Africa are modern, people from East Africa, don't understand our language, can't really speak our language, it's a bit tutti putti, which it is, but that's me, and how we are, our thought process and our thoughts are completely different. Maybe we don't have this understanding of culture, and all that kind of stuff. So I was really worried about that. But mashallah, he was very reassuring, and he was like, no, it won't be that bad, okay, the elders might have something to say, but once they meet you, things will be different. So I was like, okay, inshallah, everything will be fine. But because I took so long in deciding that, okay, we need to get married and we need to get things sorted, and I think that was more because I was scared. And the more stories I heard, and like my best friend, she's Rai, Punjabi Rai, and she even said to me that, are you sure you want to get married into a Rai family? And I was like, what does that mean? Do you know what I mean? I goes, I didn't understand it. She goes, they're very different. She goes, we are Rai, and I know what we're like. We're very family orientated. We're very close knit. We marry into the family and we stay into the family. And I understand that. It's easy because then you know how to relate to each other. You've got the same principles, you've got the same thoughts, you've got the same, dress sense, you've got the same everything. So I think that's why they think it's just easier, But she did say, she goes, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, well, I'm that type of person. I'll be like, inshallah, everything will be fine. I'll adjust for them, so to speak. So it was all like, started wearing shalwar kameez more often, whereas I used to wear English clothes all the time, and trying to be a little bit more understanding towards their culture. But then I didn't want to lose my identity. I didn't want to lose who I was. And alhamdulillah, I've always been very proud, and there was no issues really, mashallah. And the minor issues that we had, alhamdulillah, I managed to sort them out. So, and 13, 14, 15 years on, we're still married, mashallah, happily married. And I get on with all his family, and you do hear stories, and you do, like I said, I've been in the community for so many years, and I've heard stories, and I've heard what people say, and people say it to me, and they'll say it in such a nice way that, we don't mean to offend you, but, you're different. And I'll be like, okay. And I'm like, different in what way? What do you mean I'm different? She goes, oh, you can just tell you're not from Pakistan. And I was like, I don't know whether to take that in a good way or in a bad way. Sometimes I think that it's not a very nice thing to say, really. It's not a very nice thing to say, really. But I get it. I understand. I don't take offence. But you just think that really in this day and age, there shouldn't be any kind of, differences. And I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and they asked me, they said, so where are you from in Pakistan? And I was like, we're not from Pakistan. And they're like, all right, so you're one of them that say you're from Africa, so you think you're African. And I was like, but what does that mean? Because I'm not from Pakistan. I've been in Pakistan once in my life with my husband, and you know, it was a beautiful country and I loved it and I'm dying to go back. You know, but how can you say I'm not from Africa or I'm not African? Because I don't connect myself with Pakistan. I've got no family in Pakistan. You know, my parents have got nobody in Pakistan. So how can you say that, you know, I'm not African? I connect myself with Africa. My parents were like born there. And until I understand the whole, okay, you've moved from one place to another, like you've moved to England, does that mean you're English? But then I do class myself as British. You know, if somebody asks me, if they ask me like, oh, what's your nationality? I'm not going to say Pakistani. I'm going to say British. You know, but people find that really strange, that why do you have to say you're from Africa? And I don't get that. So if anybody can answer that question for me, that why is it a big deal? You know, like if I say from East Africa, we're from East Africa, alhamdulillah. If you're from Pakistan, alhamdulillah. If you're India, alhamdulillah, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I still find it strange that why people say that, oh, you're different, or you know, yeah, you can tell you're not from Pakistan, or you know, what part, where are your parents from? Were they born in Africa? Yeah, I find that really weird.
So you went to college. What did you do at college?
I did IT. I didn't really study hard. I think back then, I studied up. I finished college and I went to uni. But when I went to uni, I went for 3 weeks, and I hated it. I hated the atmosphere. I think I made the wrong decision of moving away, because I've never been away from my mum and dad. And I remember the conversation I had with my dad, because they said to me that you can do whatever you want to do. We're not going to stop you. You know, my dad was like very, you know, he instilled a lot of, mashallah, confidence in all of his kids. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to go away. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And I went and I hated it. And I missed my mum and dad so much.
Which uni did you go to?
I went to Sheffield. I went to Sheffield Hallam. And I phoned my dad. I remember it was like 2-3 weeks on, and I phoned him and I said, he just heard it from my voice. He goes, "Beta, you okay?" I goes, "Yeah, Dad." I goes, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." He goes, "You sound down." And I just started crying and I said, "I can't do it." I said, "I don't want to do it." He goes, "Right, I'll be there on the weekend to pick you up." And they hired a van and they came down, they picked all my stuff up, and I went. There was no, you have to do it, you need to get a degree, you have to be educated, you know, you have to do all this kind of stuff. No, I wasn't happy. Alhamdulillah, my parents knew that, and they probably thought, we don't want to push our child into anything that's going to, you know, she's going to do anything wrong. So I came back, and alhamdulillah, I started working ever since, mashallah. I worked at an insurance company first, and I was there for about a couple of years. Then my friend got me a job in town at the Greggs, and I loved my job. I absolutely loved it. Do you know what it is? I think I love working with people and, you know, talking to different people. So for me, it was just amazing. It was a really good job. And then from there was a shop opposite, and they literally begged me to come and work for them. They said, "Look, leave Greggs, work for us. You'll be your own manager. You manage the shop on your own. We love the way you are, and you'll be good customer. You know, like, you got wicked customer service. So, you know, come and work with us." And I loved that job too, mashallah. The brothers that owned that place, they were really nice. They were Gujaratis from Bolton, and very respectful. And they give me a lot of respect. You know, they literally entrusted me with a shop. Within a few weeks, he'd give me the keys, and it was like my shop. You know, and alhamdulillah, I stayed there for a while. Then he sold it. And then
what was in the shop?
It was just a newsagent's. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just a newsagent's. But I think because when they came to view the shop, they came into Greggs, and we started speaking to them. And I think, I don't know, Allahu Alim, when they spoke to me, I think they probably just thought, yeah, she'll be cool for the shop. She's got good customer service, and she gets on with people. And I was Muslim, they were Muslim, so. Yeah, the 2 weeks that they had this shop, they used to come in every day to Greggs. "Have you decided to come to the shop? Have you decided to come to work for us?" And I thought, you know what, it's a better opportunity, it's more money, less hours, and I just started working there. and like I said, they had a lot of respect for me, mashallah. I'll never forget them. They were really, really nice people, and alhamdulillah, they've done really well. Apparently they've got a lot of petrol stations now, mashallah, and you know, they've done quite well. I still keep in touch with him. I see him now and again. Brother Dawood, he's called. It's, you know, he's Islam Dua and stuff. We catch up on, you know, life. Yeah, from there then I moved to Castlemere, and then I stayed there for a good 8 to 10 years. Yeah, mashallah.
What did you do at Castlemere?
I did everything at Castlemere. It was a very interesting job. We worked in the gym, the ladies' gym, and mashallah, I met a lot of amazing women there. Still are very close, you know, like we're still friends with a lot of them from there, mashallah. I still see them about, and yeah, I loved working there too. All my jobs, mashallah, I loved all my jobs. I worked there, and then they had to shut the gym, unfortunately, and then but I stayed on in the centre. I stayed on in the community centre there, and I started working reception. And then I finished off working for Castlemere, but then there's a Rochdale Immigration Service, Nosheen. She wanted me to work alongside her, so then I started working there in the community centre, and then I stayed there until I was expecting Zaid, and then I started working then, and then I got very bored at home because I can't sit still. So then I got the shop, alhamdulillah. I've been here 2 years now, contemplating whether to stay or not, but we'll see inshallah what happens.
Tell me about your family life.
My married life. Okay, so my family life, so family life, yep, alhamdulillah, married, 2 kids, beautiful daughter, 13-year-old, mashallah, and an equally beautiful son, mashallah, 4-year-old. When I ask her, or when I say to her, like, this is just my personal opinion, and I ask her, like, what do you class yourself as? You know, like, because she knows the difference. She knows how it is. She went to Pakistan with us. She loved it. She always says she wants to go to Africa. She wants to go and see where her nana and nanny were from. So I feel like, alhamdulillah, she's blessed because she's got both sides, and she doesn't really class herself as Pakistani or African, or, you know, like, I mean, I know they say it goes on your father. So obviously my husband's Pakistani. So she probably does, mashallah, relate herself more, maybe Pakistani. But then I think she also feels, and she also sees me like I don't class myself as Pakistani. So she probably thinks, okay, yeah, my mum's classes herself as East African, and my dad obviously is Pakistani. So she probably thinks, yeah, she might glamorize it to think, yeah, I'm half caste, you know, like they do. So alhamdulillah, it's fine. I mean, I don't mind. I want her to know the differences. I want her to realise there are differences, but not to think that that's important. You know, her deen should be first and foremost. She's a Muslim. She shouldn't have to feel like we did when we were growing up. You know, how we felt like, yeah, you're different and you're like this, and, you know, you guys are modern and you don't understand this, and so on and so forth. However much we had to deal with, I don't want her to ever have to deal with that. And inshallah, I think that she might not have to, because people are a lot more tolerant to what they were when we were probably growing up. So inshallah, I think, yeah, she'll know the difference, and she's a good girl. She's sensible. Zed's too small to even have to think about it. And I think boys are different anyway. He'll find his own way, but with girls you have to kind of like lead them. And she's got, mashallah, she's got a good group of friends, and hopefully she knows the difference, and she respects the difference, and she knows that her grandparents are from both sides, you know, alhamdulillah. So like I said, she's got that, she's blessed in that way. And yeah, that's my family life boiled up into one pot.
And what do you like to do in your spare time, if you have any?
Not that I have much of my spare time, but it's just very family orientated. I try to see my parents as much as I can daily, in-laws daily. Try to do as much, which is not much, but I try to do as much charity work as I can, and helping people, you know, like in whatever way I can. that's it really. I'm not really outgoing person anymore. I think I'm too old for that now. I see my friends at the gym, but we've not been since lockdown. This year's been difficult for everybody, so yeah, we've not really done much this year. But yeah, we go gym daily, and that's about it. Alhamdulillah.
What would you like the listeners to remember this interview by?
I would love the listeners to remember this interview by something positive, something that they can look back and listen to maybe and feel a bit happy, you know, and hopefully they've made sense of it, and they've enjoyed it, and just to make dua for me and my family and for everybody, and to make sure that, you know, everybody just be tolerant of everybody, you know, respect everybody. Everybody's different. Everybody has a story behind whatever they've been through in life, and, you know, just make shukr, and yeah, just keep smiling, everybody.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank
and I wish
you so much.
all the very best.
Thank you so much.
With absolutely everything that you do.
Thank you so much.